everybody. Welcome to this masterclass. I'm Dr. Diane Mueller. I know a lot of you guys. I'm really excited. Thank you so much for spending some time on Saturday morning with us. I got really inspired to help my friend Mike here after I had a crazy thing happen to my practice in January. I've been in practice for almost a decade and a half, and I sold my practice in January or in December. And in January, I opened up a new brand, and I had two people call my office in January. So I incorrectly made an assumption that everybody would find me because I have a name and everybody was following the brand. So when I sold the brand, I had to completely revamp my marketing. And in February, after my crazy January month, that is when I reached out and talked to Mike about SEO, about marketing. And one of the things I discovered, and I think one of the things you guys are going to learn today from him, is how many people out there in the world are not doing SEO for us as docs and practitioners correctly. Because one of the things I learned very quickly in working with Mike, and what I've seen, is a 2,000% increase in my calls to my office. I'm now averaging about 50 calls a month. And that's, post like the 2 calls a month in January. And one of the things I learned, because he's such a good teacher, is what actually it takes to really develop an SEO framework. Like, I talked to a friend of mine just a couple of days ago who was talking about how she had hired somebody for SEO, and this person charged her $1,500 for the site audit and then didn't even really do anything. And then it was going to be a $3,500 fee, and she's spending all of this money and she's not even getting any results yet. And one of the things that I've seen oftentimes that I thought I was doing for a long time, I thought I worked with website developers and I thought I was doing SEO. And one of the things I realized in working with Mike was, like, I really wasn't doing SEO. And all that oftentimes web developers are doing is they're making sure what is happening on the front of your web page matches what happens on the back of your web page. So it's almost like kind of compliant, like from a Google perspective. So for example, if your web page says thyroid on the front, then from an SEO perspective, you need it to say thyroid on the back end to tell Google that it's actually about thyroid. Well, I was doing stuff like that because I had hired SEO people, but what I did not realize was that's not actually enough to get you discoverable. And I can't even believe how much time and effort I would have saved in my earlier business had I known about Mike before, because it's not just about matching on the front and the back. And that's what a lot of SEO people are doing. It's actually about literally training you what to write, what content to produce, what to actually put on your website that is going to make you stand out above the noise. Because if 5,000 people, for example, 10,000, 20,000 people are also treating thyroid, then you're essentially, if you say thyroid on the front, thyroid on the back, you're still competing in Google with all 5 or 10,000 to basically be ranked first. And so what a lot of SEO people are not doing is actually teaching the step-by-step of, don't waste time on doing those silly things. Like, they're useful, but from a standpoint of actually becoming discoverable, from a standpoint of actually writing content and doing things where what's going to happen is on the back end, when somebody is looking up thyroid, when somebody is looking up Lyme disease for me, when somebody is looking up these things, you're going to actually start ranking because you know how to write things in a specific way and work with an SEO person that knows how to position what you write so you show up on that first page. And it's just been mind-blowing. So I'm going to be popping in and out of the conversation that Mike's going to have with you as I think of things that are super relevant that he's talking about. I think that would be useful for you guys and your practices from a kind of a medical perspective to really help you relate to everything he's saying. So I'm going to step out of the frame now, but I will be in and out to just, help with answering your questions. Please do post things in the chat. You can post things in the Q&A. Occasionally people have problems with the chat. I did make sure the chat was enabled. But if you have any problems, post things in the Q&A if you can't access the chat for any reason. And I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited to see what this can do for you guys, for your practice, for your brand, and more. So without further ado, my good friend, Mike.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for the introduction here. I am, again, really, really excited to dive right in to show you how you guys can really improve your practice online. It is my jam. This is what I love to do. And I'm going to share my screen and we'll dive right in. All right, awesome. Here we go. So let's the top 5 mistakes your healthcare practice is making. Let's get started. And the number 1 is the SEO. The SEO is just a short, a fancy word of saying search engine optimization, which just means getting the first page on Google. As you can see from the slideshow, we have at the top is the paid advertising, Google Maps, and local organic. And Google Maps has 60 to 70% of the clicks on most phones or most niches. And that's what, that if you are not visible on any of those Google Maps or local organic, clients can't find you. People are not going to book the call with you guys. So the number 1 thing you got to do is really get on Google Maps and get optimized. They call it optimized for SEO. And that is what makes the difference between a busy practice and an empty practice. The next thing we talk about. Oh.
So I'm going to pop on and say something too. I told you guys I would be in and out, and now I'm in and out of focus. So essentially, let me see if I can get myself in focus here. There I am. Okay. So essentially, I just want to add that, one of the things that is happening with here that I really want to make sure that you guys understand, because this was pivotal for me, was that essentially what this is showing, what Mike's showing with this, is this area where like 60 to 70% of most is like in most niches. This is what a lot of people are not doing. So from an SEO perspective, that's like this top part, what he's saying is like, that's where the paid people are doing. So unless you're paying for ads, you're going to miss that top 10 to 20%, and you can see that with the sponsor information that shows up. But essentially this next area, the 60 to 70%, that's where it's like all of your local SEO. And there's a lot of ways, like Mike basically gave me an assignment in the beginning. It was mostly him doing the work, by the way, not me, but he was showing me, he was giving me tasks here and there that I needed to do. And then most of it he would complete, but it was basically something like 80 to 100 different ways that I started showing up in the 60 to 70%. So now you see the paid ads. And then when you scroll down a little bit more, it's all of the local SEO that he's talking about. And there's like 100 different things, like 100 different actionable items, like something like that. Don't quote me on the exact number, but there's a lot of actionable items that will actually make you show up in that 60 to 70%, right? And so some of these are things he's going to talk about, like Google reviews and that sort of thing. But this is the power of what really needs to happen, because the local organic, what that really is, if you have thyroid disease, like I was talking about, that really is somebody that is saying like, okay, local organic is when somebody is going to say, hey, thyroid doc near me, right? That's what local organic is. So you can see then you're going to miss the 10 to 20% unless you're paying. That 60 to 70%. And again, the point of this is that if you're not on that first page, people aren't going to scroll and find you most of the time. Maybe they found you because of a Facebook post or a YouTube video or something like that. But from purely turning Google and purely turning your website into an income generating tool, into a client helping tool, into helping people find you as the right clinician, that's why you need to end up on the first page. And this is what's so cool, is because everything below that 20% is all basically non-paid stuff, right? It's only that first 10 to 20%, which of course you can still pay and rank higher by running ads. But what we want to do is make sure that other, 80 to 90% that you end up on. So that Google Maps, that's like a special formula of basically sending out signals to all of these different sites that are going to start recognizing you as a local leader in your field, right? So there's a lot of different steps that go with that. But then the organic traffic at that bottom, that 20 to 30%, you also want to end up there. And how I started ending up there was when he started helping me doing the things that I was telling you about in the beginning, when he basically was saying, okay, this is what you need to blog about. 2,000, 5,000 other people for me, since I do Lyme disease, it's like there's literally like so many people out there doing Lyme. If you do something more common like thyroid or chronic fatigue, you're competing against even bigger noise than me. And so essentially then, for like somebody like me with Lyme, or if you're doing thyroid, then if you're writing about just, thyroid disease, common causes of thyroid disease, Hashimoto's, all these different things, you are going to miss out on that traffic. And so the idea is, what do you write about? What do you write about that people with thyroid disease search for that nobody else is writing about? And that's like, and then it's just, my core value is efficiency. So I'm really about like not wasting time. It's one of the reasons too why I love all this AI world that Mike's going to talk about in a little ways, because I'm generating literally about 80 times the amount of content I did. That's all mine by using AI to repurpose things. So efficiency is super, super important, right? So with the blog, then it's like, imagine if you knew exactly what to write that your niche was searching for that actually made you show up in this 20 to 30%. Imagine what was happening if you, from a local standpoint, were doing the things on the back end that would actually make you show up on the map. That's why I'm like, you can see I'm like super, super fired up, because I just really see so many of my friends and my clinicians. I'm part of these amazing masterminds and a lot of different things where I talk to a lot of different colleagues every week. And I just see so much business and so much ability to help people left on the table because of these like simple things. So if you like feel how fired up I am right now, it's because I am, because it's just I just think it's so important. So I'm going to let Mike keep going.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the clarification. Yeah, there are actually over 200 signals from Google to actually to tell us what to rank. There's different signals that you mentioned. There's actually over 200 of them. And again, to reiterate, if you are not on page one, your business doesn't exist online. So that's the biggest point. I could just summarize what Diane just said. So thank you again. All right. So the next piece, the next mistake is the content. I guess most of you guys have heard the phrase, content is king, right? Just bunch out, crank out some content and get it out the door, and people will find you, and just keep creating content. Just get a lot of content out the door. But this number tells a different story. 4.6 billion. And that number is the number of content produced every single day. So think about it. 4.6 billion new pieces of content produced every single day. Are you going to be found? How are you going to stand out? And the crazy thing is, it's only going to get worse with AI. As more people get on AI, they're going to crank out more pieces of content online, and it's going to probably even 10x. Maybe 40.6 billion just in the next couple of years. We don't know, but it's definitely going to be way up. So I guess, does this mean you should stop producing content? No, that is not what it's saying. What we need to do is find ways to create content that attracts people, that grab their attention, that actually really good content that rank high on Google, and finding ways, innovative, different ways to actually, just engage with your prospective patient that wants to get the call to your office for your niche. If it's about thyroid, if it's about Lyme disease, whatever it is, you have to build a authority. So the more you write on great content, and the more authority you got, again, it's another way of telling Google, you to get up on page one. So to reiterate the message, you need to create amazing content, not just content like everybody else is hashing out, rehashing. This is the way to stand out, again, to rank on Google, as we just talked about in the previous mistake for SEO. So And with that, a tool we can use to generate engagement is really engagement tools. This is just one way to actually get people to engage. So let's say you got their attention, right? You got content, but how you get people to engage with you? And the key point I'm gonna make here is a missed connection is really a missed opportunity for you to get a call to your office. Why do people come to your office versus the other office down the street? Well, you created a connection with them, right? This is what people would like to work with, people that they know and like, or have some sort of connection. So online, this means having chatbot, quizzes, or even calculators, or different pieces of software, or some other way to engage with people online. And most practices are not taking advantage of this. It's just a wide open opportunity. Another cool thing about this is this increases dwell time. What that means is Google loved it. It's one of the signals that we talked about. Google loved it when people come to your site and they're actually engaging with it, spending time and more. The average time is like just 1 to 2 seconds when they go to your page and they go back. They hit the back button. But if Google sees that you're actually, people are actually spending time on your site, like minutes at a time, because you're filling out a quiz or engaging with your customer, or the chatbot or customer support, they will rank you higher than those who are not. So I'd like to give a real quick thing I built literally yesterday. It's a healthcare marketing quiz. So it took me literally about less than an hour to create with AI. And this is where my programming background is. This is how I can help practices with my programming background. So just a real quick, as you can see here, it's just a real quick question. And this is built with AI. So are you giving customers the option to engage? In a two-way text? Yeah. Is your website mobile friendly? Yes. Is your website fast loading? No. So if you want to go through this, I will have this quiz on the email we send out to you guys. So I promise you guys, you'll get the email, and you can just, if you want to play with it and see what it's like, where I can, the things you can build with AI in literally less than an hour. I'll send it out to you guys, so no problem. And then again, if you have any questions in the chat or in comments or the Q&A, so drop a line. And do you guys have any engagement tools right now? Are you actually engaging your clients online? Do you know? Okay, nobody. Okay, that's fine. Okay, yeah. So again, great opportunity to connect with your clients, to get them in your office once you're visible. So once SEO, it's getting the people that you see you. The engagement tools with the client, it's actually trying to connect with them to get them to book a call to your practice. So
I'm going to add something too. So another thing that I think is just like super important, this was like mind blowing for me with all the SEO people I worked with in the past. So my question for you guys is, whoever's doing your website, your analytics, your SEO, if you guys have anybody, are they actually doing what Mike is saying? Like, are they actually telling you? Are they actually giving you stats and saying, you know what, everybody that comes to your website, they stay on your website for 1.2 seconds, right? That is really, really important. It's not just about like converting to a client at that moment, but so oftentimes people think like, oh, if they're only on my website for like 1 second. Okay, well, the problem is they're not converting to a client. And that's true. That is a problem, right? Especially if there's somebody you can help. But there's a secondary opportunity cost that a lot of people don't see here. And that opportunity cost is what Mike's talking about with this dwell time, where it's like a two-part thing, because you're not only losing as a client, but you're also sending a signal to Google that says, this person looked up thyroid and they got to my site and like they weren't actually very interested in what I said. So that's then telling Google like, hey, they're like, maybe I shouldn't send people here, right? So you can get a downstream like negative impact too if people do find your site and they're not engaging. So that was another thing that Mike taught me, and he might have more to say here because he knows it way more than I do. But it was a huge thing for me to actually understand like, oh, so I now have like multiple quizzes on my site that around things that are very, very specific to my niches. So he helped me understand like, oh, this is what my niches are searching for from a quiz perspective, for example, right? And then because he has SEO and programming, this really cool dynamic of these skills, he's then able to like build me these quizzes that then we can start tracking. We can see this in like real time, you know, week to week, month to month of like engagement time on the website going up. And when you see engagement time on the website going up and that dwell time that he's talking about, that's when it gets really cool. And that work starts to become, your work starts to become exponential, right? Again, I'm super into efficiency, right? So it starts to become exponential because not only are you getting more people to your site because of SEO, but then they're staying there longer because of the dwell time. And that's coming back and telling Google like, oh, wow, this person, I sent them to the site. This person stayed on that site a long time, and Google serves the customers, right? So Google is all about how can people search for something and get delivered exactly what they searched for. That's like part of Google's job, right? That's what Google loves to do. That's how they make money. It's all wrapped up into their money-making scheme, right? And so the more that they dwell on your site, the more it tells Google like, oh, that was a match. I matched them. They searched for this. They stayed there a long time. They're engaged. So that was a correct match. So that bleeds into their algorithm. So then the next time somebody searches for that same thing, Google starts ranking you higher and higher because it knows that you are delivering something that is high value to the person that is asking for that. So it's so cool.
Awesome. Thank you. And yes, exactly. She brought up a point that I'm going to, the next point is analytics. You know, once you, like she said, we have the quiz and actually engage with the client. And the biggest thing is how you know it's working. You need to be able to track what's working and what's not. A patient comes to your office and he, you know, has a problem. And what's the first thing you do? You run labs, track your data. You get the data from the labs. And then now you understand what is the problem is. You diagnose or run a diagnosis based on the data. You know, and that's the same thing with the marketing. The marketing data shows a story. It tells a story. You need someone to understand the numbers from a marketing perspective, just like you guys were trained in the, you know, in your specialty to analyze the numbers based on lab data. Make sense? And from there, what you guys do? You prescribe something, you know, and you prescribe a fix. Same thing for your marketing. You prescribe a fix for the data, you know, and try to, and then you get feedback. Is it working? If it's not, you adapt and you keep reiterating, just like what you guys do for your practice, for your patient. And just the difference is there's the medical story, and then there's the marketing story. You know, and having a trained marketing, technical marketing background is somebody that can actually help you, you know, get your time and money back. But if you're not tracking it, all these things, you're just literally throwing your time and money away. Maybe it's working, maybe it's not. Maybe you're running ads, you have no idea if it's working. So that's why we really get dialed in terms of tracking and understanding what marketing strategies and tactics are working for you in your practice. So again, if you're not doing this, throwing money and time away on the window. So with all that tracking, you know, now we can actually start gauging your reputation, which is the #1 asset online. And I'm gonna have Dr. Diane chime in for a bit of her experience of you know, online reputation and negative reviews.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so essentially, one of the things that I think a lot about when I think about like negative reviews, and negative reviews, you know, sometimes happen, and negative reviews usually happen by, you know, some sort of disgruntled client, oftentimes that I find just like had weird expectations, or there's just a lot of different things. Like my worst negative review personally was during COVID. And I think it was an old client of mine. And this client, the last time I had seen this client, 90% of the health symptoms had gone away. I had the chart note, but she decided, and my guess is that she was maybe strapped for cash, but she basically sent me this email and demanded $20,000 from me, or she would write a negative review. I did not give her $20,000. And I tried a lot of things to appease her, right? I offered her free care for 6 months. She was having body pain that came back. And all this was based upon her saying that I did nothing for her, which obviously we don't ever promise anything in medicine. But when I went back and read her chart and I was like, told her this, I was like, the last time I saw her, I'm like, this went away and this went away and this went away and this went away and this went away. So the thing that I personally hate, and I don't know if you guys are this way, but I know some other colleagues I talk to about this are similar, of like negative reviews oftentimes inform how we handle certain things that maybe, like, for example, like I've seen situations where somebody is not the right fit for like my practice. I don't feel like they're getting well. I feel like I need to refer them. And I've talked to them about this and they don't really want to go anywhere, right? They want to stay. And so there's a situation where it's like, I actually feel like they'd be a better fit elsewhere, but they really want to stay. And I feel scared to say, hey, I don't want to see you anymore. I think you're going to be better fit elsewhere because of this negative review, right? So sometimes we make these decisions based upon being afraid of this. And of course, we should always take care of people. That goes without saying, and work to avoid the negative reviews and all the things. But one of the things Mike's also taught me is a little bit more about how to handle these sort of situations when they do happen, so that I'm not making, while of course I want to avoid it and take excellent care of people and make sure everybody leaves happy and all the things we want to do, the reason we got into medicine, right? So while all of that is true, now I'm at least not making a decision that I think is the right decision for me, my company, and the client based upon fear of this. And so that's one of the reasons why I think this is super important, is because of that component.
Yeah. So I guess how many of you guys have negative reviews? You guys can put in the chat or the Q&A if you have any negative reviews in your practice. Yeah, I'm sure some of you guys have had. So I guess the biggest thing is what she was just Dr. Diane was saying. What if there's a way we could mitigate, the negative reviews? Well, here's a strategy. There's a couple of key tactical things to actually help you mitigate your the negative reviews to actually keep your positive online reputation. So one is having a rapid response to every review. It could be, if it's a negative one, you can apologize, or you can try to take it offline and have a conversation with them, or to try to stop if you have the time. But the key is to have a rapid response, and Google will actually recognize that. And then question is, do you guys have a positive review generation strategy? What that means is, are you actually asking your best patient, could you give me a review? I mean, just asking for it. It may be uncomfortable at times, but it's something, but if they're a happy patient, they're going to want to help you. I mean, if you help them, I'm going to want to make sure that your practice gets rewarded. So just the way to think of it, if you're uncomfortable asking for reviews. So just make sure you have mostly automated review generation strategy, something that I can help you set up. And then omni-platform, what that means is get on all the important review platforms. For example, Yelp, Healthgrades, doctors.com, also Google, Facebook. The whole point is to make sure that the internet and Google know that you have a really good practice. And just one review, will not make a dent in our online reputation. So those are the key strategies here. So moving on to the next, one other key point. So if you do not take a proactive steps right now, then you are putting your reputation at risk. So just having a proactive strategy to actually execute, and that would absolutely help your practice to get you ranking in Google. Cool. So next point, we're talking with AI. The thing about AI is, people are talking about, oh, hey, robots are coming, people are going to replace, the AI is going to replace me and everything. But the key point I'm going to make here is AI is not going to replace you or your practice. But a doctor or a practice that is leveraging AI will. And I don't mean, just putting a couple of things in ChatGPT and see what comes out here and there. Maybe create some content on just using AI. No, it's incorporating, embedding, and leveraging AI to create the high quality output and high quantity is what needs to happen. So if you're again, if you're not getting the positive reviews, if you're not getting enough high quality, amazing content, if you're not using AI in your entire strategy to help grow your practice, you're getting left behind. Just to give you an idea, this chart is talking about is technology grows exponentially, and organizations only adopt technology at a logarithmic rate. What that means is every company that has an opportunity to take advantage of the growing technology that's growing exponentially, but most companies won't. But the question is, do you want to be in the slow change or actually have an advantage of leveraging AI for your entire marketing strategy? So this creates an opportunity to actually get the output, get the quality, get the, make sure it's a QA process. AI can actually check your work, if you will, on the marketing stuff. So it's just a great opportunity to actually help grow and 10x your practice if you're not taking advantage of AI. So what's cool is I'm really excited about this. This is what I'm really excited about. This is how I can help practices. I have a software engineering background with marketing in the healthcare space. And what I just want to do is just go to your site and just take a look and book a call with either the QR code or the link. And all we're going to do is find out what's wrong with this site. Why are you not on page 1? Well, here's some, here's some little things that maybe some smaller issues or big issues that are not getting you on the first page of Google. Again, go dive into finding why people are not finding you. That is the #1 thing we need to do. As you know, that local SEO, from the first slide from SEO, gets 70 to 80% of the traffic to your practice. So you got to make sure that your niche, if it's a thyroid niche, we got to make sure that whatever you type in for your thyroid doctor near Denver or whatever city you're in, you've got to be on the first page in Google. And I will actually go through, let's say you're getting some traffic, and I will actually go through it and find why it's not converting, why you're not getting the call. Maybe it could be something as simple as placement. It could be something as the way the website looks, is it properly set up? So we'll get that on your call. And ultimately, really, to find ways to improve and fix the issues, show you how to fix the issues to get to page 1 on Google. All right? And as a fast action bonus, if you book a call this weekend, you will get a Google ad playbook with me, which means it's just I will go through and give you a Google ad strategy that you can implement the next day and actually get your bang for the buck. So that's what we're to dive into. So again, just go ahead, scan the QR code, and or if you're on the computer, you can type in the link and just book a call, and it'll be happy. We'll dive right in and give you a site audit. And so I have time for a couple of quick questions. And so question number 1. The question is the statistics captured with Google Analytics. Most for when you're tracking Google, yes, that you've got to have Google Analytics installed. But there's additional things you can track as well for if you're running ad, you need to have your Google tag called Google Tag Manager, and put just another piece of code to put on the site to track your conversion rate. That's another piece. So Google Analytics is your foundation. You have to have that. And then let's say you have social media. That could be another set of analytics. Are you tracking that? Are you tracking your posts on social media? So I have a lot of other tools. It's more specialized from an SEO perspective to do a really deep dive and not outside just Google Analytics. let's say it's your page structure, different data, that I can bring into. But yes, the foundation is, the answer is yes, Google Analytics plus a bunch more that specialize for SEO.
You want to see a test calculator example? I put you one in the chat. One you built for me.
Oh, that's the example. All right, so you put the example of the chat.
Yeah, so you guys asked to see one that he built for me, so I just texted him so he has the exact link in front of him of a calculator that he built. So this calculator, so in addition to treating Lyme, I do a lot of mold. And so one of the things a lot of my avatar really looks for is a mold calculator called a HurtsMe. There's actually only one other company out there. There's only one other person out there that's really doing this mold calculator super well. So a huge ability, because there's not many people doing this, right, to build this calculator. So I put it in the chat to him. So he's going to show you basically this. This is one of several examples of what he built for me, like you guys asked for. So that's there. So you want to just screen share?
Yeah, screen share.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Again, this is another tool I actually built with AI, cranked it out, in about an hour or so. We'll chat here. So yeah, if they punch in a bunch of numbers, and then just calculate the score, and then yeah, so just a great way to for her niche to actually identify the core issues they're having with mold. So.
And then the subsequent question you asked Zeb about the whole idea of, well, what happens after, and like, can we actually give different information based upon the quiz answers? So this is another cool thing because of Mike's programming background and understanding all the coding behind these sorts of things is yes. So basically I have all of these different email strategies set up. So depending upon what people give me as far as the answers, they get a bunch of different emails that are going to be like, oh, you said this on your quiz, so I'm going to now respond this way because this is the direction that I need to give, right? So that's really cool from like a practice standpoint, because beyond even helping people have like insane value and for me to talk directly to their needs, they also understand that I know who they are, and I understand their condition because they got this particular answer. And all of a sudden I'm like, hey, you scored really high on this test. This means this, or you didn't score high on this test at all. So here's the next step you should take. So then I can directly funnel people, not only from the best thing for them from a standpoint of wellness, but also I have multiple offerings in my practice. So then I know that when my team gets on a call with them to say, hey, what is the best offering of all our offers? My team then can know, oh, this is what we should focus on for this person in their call because this is what's going to help them the most. So really like the trickle down effect is so cool.
Yep, awesome. So the world of software is always evolving. But yeah, so this is another example of what I can build in AI. Using AI, crank out real quickly to get a leg up on the competition, again, to drive traffic and increase what we call the dwell time to get people hanging out on their site and building a connection. So let's take a look. What else do I have? Question.
So really just two more here. So
okay, example. Okay.
That one and that one.
Okay, yeah. So another question is, can you repair bad reviews? The answer is yes and no. You can repair it by really getting offsetting, as I've mentioned before, it's getting as many positive reviews. Yeah, get as many positive reviews to offset the negative one. And then you can, if you're lucky to get an outreach with the patient to have a discussion offline. And like I said, also if you have a negative review, having a like a quick response strategy will help you guys immensely. So Google actually rewards you for responding quickly if you get a negative review. So that's the short answer. Get the review strategy down and actually taking the time, have somebody reply to the negative review. So I hope that answers the question very well. So,
and I want you to put the scheduling thing back up here for everybody too. Will you put the scheduling link back up there for everybody too?
Okay. There you go. That again, this is the link QR code, and then there's another question here. So you upload. How do you offload a problematic patient who did not want to go? I run into this, but I have attention to the negative reviews.
Yeah, and so that might be a question for me from a patient care perspective. Like essentially it's some of what I was already talking about around having a conversation with them and really making it about them, right? Really showing like, hey, these are all the reasons why I think this other practice or this other way of doing things is a better fit for you. So having that conversation. And then if it still is not going well and they're still not leaving, then basically being like, a little bit more directive of like, I do need to terminate your care because X, Y, and Z, always using the word because. And here's how I'm going to make this easy for you. Here are the people that I think you should consider. I am happy to get on the phone with them if you sign a release of records to transfer your care with ease. So I always like try to make it like where it's like, hey, I'm not abandoning you, right? Because there's lots of reasons that's problematic. So it's like, I'm going to transfer your care. I'm going to make this as easy. I'm even happy to write up a summary of where we're at for your next doctor. I just think this is best. So it's being a little bit more directive, but then the big point that I've discovered with working with, Mike and really working on, mitigating this is also then if I do all of those things and they still leave a review, how do I make it so that that review is non-impactful for my business? So I'm not continuing to serve that person that doesn't need to be in my practice. So, again, I hope you guys will, get on a call with Mike here, because like I said, like in talking to this colleague of mine this week who spent $1,500 for nothing and then was told that she had to spend another $3,500 for anything to even start to happen. That's $5,000 in with literally nothing to show for it, right? So Mike's just like amazing about the value and what he can provide. So I hope you guys will at least give him an opportunity to chat with you guys. The very least, get on a call with him, get some action steps, do what you want with him, but at least it gives you like a good starting point to really start to analyze and be able to see like from a standpoint of data, what's right and what's wrong with what you're doing.
Yep, awesome. Yep. And I hope that was another. You got it. Yep, just general question. Okay, awesome. Any other final questions before we wrap up? Happy to answer any more questions we have.
Oh, and last thing I'll say too is remember that marketing quiz that he mentioned earlier. Make sure you guys check your email, the one that is on his site, because essentially that's also a good step. It's just going to give you another way of looking at things. It's just a helpful, supportive thing with getting on a call with him. But he will send that to you guys in your email. We'll send that out soon today. So sometimes our emails end up in spam. So we're working on that, but from my company. But if you find it in spam, make sure, if you don't find it, go look for it in spam to make sure you get it.
Awesome. Yep. Check out the email and yeah. Dropping it up right now, and so thank you so much for your time, everybody. And I hope you enjoyed it. Really, thank you for taking an hour of your time, and I look forward to getting a call with many of you guys. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy. Happy Saturday.